experiment about sacred geometry, as far as I know. And it's a long time coming. And I think it's one of those wonderful, mysterious things that we all heard about but don't know too much about. But it seems to be something that has been involved with all cultures for the millennia. And so we're going to find out more about that, especially how sacred geometry was utilized in cathedrals, monuments, temples, and sacred sites in general for their healing and, I guess, inspirational properties. And so, for this evening, our speaker to present this is SummerHawk Wolf. And I'm going to read just a little bit off the flyer about her. SummerHawk is a shamana. She calls herself a shamana, I hope that's correctly pronounced. And that's a female healer in the shamanic tradition. And in the shamanic tradition, the healer sees a person as a whole, not a symptom or issue. And shamanic healing involves the integration of the body, mind, and spirit, and especially of one's emotional well-being. To heal in this way, a shaman brings one into a deeper level of understanding one's life patterns and soul purpose. SummerHawk uses an eclectic blend of ancient healing techniques, esoteric knowledge, and spiritual fundamentals of human experience of the soul to achieve this healing. And through her gifts of channeling, and she's also a channeler, I suppose, she channels information that assists in the integration of the body, mind, and spirit, and also the wounded, lost, or fragmented parts of the soul. And that's another part of shamanic healing that I understand is that you bring back the fragments of the soul and integrate them together. SummerHawk also teaches channeling, etheric energy workshops, spiritual initiations, and the path of shamanic healing training for light workers. She's located in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I guess you give workshops in this area, in the general area, or mostly in Bethlehem? Mostly in Bethlehem, okay. But you can reach her by phone and on her website, www.summerhawkwolf.com. And tonight she's going to offer a PowerPoint program, a PowerPoint presentation, so we're going to see it up on screen, and explaining how the three sacred geometries of the sphere, the cube, and the pyramid have been incorporated into temples and other sacred structures for thousands of years. I won't go too deeply into what she's going to do because it's on the flyer. So without further ado, let's introduce then SummerHawk Wolf and give her a warm welcome.
I'm going to be a free-range chicken tonight. So I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I teach a sacred geometry class, so when Chaz called and said, Summer, we would like this, and I went, Chaz, you're making me go outside my box. And I thought, being an Aquarian, I was happily not anywhere near a box, but obviously I do with my little fur sticking out the side holes.
Is the sound okay? Seems like it's a little soft.
Okay. I used to play guitar in my church, and the music director said, will you get closer? If I get any closer to the microphone, I will be behind it. Thank you, that's much better. Okay, better? Better? Good. So what I'm going to teach tonight, as with anything I teach, is experiential. So when we come back from our snacks later, we are going to do a journey. So I'm going to ask you, because we're going to do a journey and because I have a short attention span, if you could turn your phones off, because vibrate, there's nothing louder than when we're in a journey and somebody vibrates. So I would appreciate that now. Thank you. In this day and age. So, you may also be expecting us to go into all the different shapes in Merkaba, et cetera, tetrahedron, all these cool things. What we're going to do is we're going to correlate, thank you, the sphere, the cube, and the triangle, and I know some of you may not know how to turn your phones on, to the tree of life. The tree of life, we're going to do some basics on that. That will basically be a lick rather than a taste because there's so much. And that's going to be the journey that we're going to do. Where we're going to activate the 3 sacred shapes of sacred geometry within you, enabling you to be more protected from the energy, because obviously you're here because you're sensitive. And I don't have to be psychic to know that. So, I have, sorry, shameless plug. I have my mailing list over there if you'd like to sign up for it, which you can do when we have our respite. I have flyers, things like that. I would love to be able to send you things. I'm also on Facebook, SummerHawkWolf.com. No extra L's, no extra F's, no extra E's. Summer like the summer, wolf like a wolf, hawk like a hawk. So, one of the most well-known sayings, especially in a mystery school, hang on, is as above, so below. I need to be a free-range chicken, sorry. So, with that said, the 3 sacred shapes are correlated to here in nature. Here we have the beautiful trees that I get to see by the college where I live. As above, so below, the 3 sacred shapes are correlated to our physical human body as well. This is googleimages.com. Click black and white. Here what we have is related to the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon. We have what we're going to learn later is the supernal triangle. This represents God. The downward pointing triangle is the humans. And look at this beautiful reflection of, this is the macrocosm, we are reflected, the microcosm. They're holding hands, as above, so below. The rest of this saying is, so as within, so without. So the spiritual aspects of the journeys that we take is, as Jesus had said, the kingdom of heaven is within. So the as above, so below. Now the reflection of as within, as we do the spiritual work. And then what, as you know, being sensitive and being on the spiritual journey consciously, what has happened is that as we grow, as we change, as we stop some of the life patterns that we have, we actually start to lose our friends. Social situations change. I love when they get angry at ourselves. And what it really is it's a beautiful way of saying and of validating that you have made these changes. And the people, for the most part, are uncomfortable. So, and if you notice, what really helps is sometimes what happens is you're thinking, I really can't hang around with them anymore. And they go, I really can't hang around with you anymore. Yay! So this is, as we do the spiritual work, we're flowing this energy out into the planet to manifest the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of Elohim, however you prefer to say it, the kingdom of Great Spirit. My 80-year-old father says Great Spirit, and I want to kiss him right on the lips for that. So, and another thing with any of the classes that I teach, rather than giving you a fish, it is teaching you how to fish. So any of the classes, I'm just not going to, like the nuns did to me for 12 years, I'm just not going to pour it all in your head or make you recite it. It is very much an internal process, an experiential. Therefore, it's personal, and it's also individual. So there is no fast or slow. It is for you. You're going to get it when your heart is open and you're ready for it. Spiritual teachers appear when you're ready and you've asked for it. Divine sacred geometry is a bridge. So all the beautiful things as above, so below, the seen and unseen, the manifest here and physical and the unmanifest, the finite and the infinite, the mundane and the profound. That's why the triangle in the sphere, in the Star of David or the Seal of Solomon is that beautiful reflection. And where do they meet? They meet right at the heart. That's the Sephra of Tiphareth or Sepharth. So all of this is also us trying to figure out, how do we manifest? So the reminder, as above, so below. Now, divine sacred geometry, this part I will tell you, this is what I teach. It's formed in heaven as a precursor to all of creation. There was nothing but God or Elohim. And that being said, when we talk about the sphere, the triangle, and the cube, is a graphic representation of God's thoughts. So that's why I say, when we work with that, and when we, and later after the break, when you're all mushed, I tell a little bit more specific about what I teach in the class. We teach how to seal and activate grid rooms and buildings and healing spaces. One of God's thoughts is you breathe that, you receive that activation of each of those, which means then you can manifest. Then you can breathe forth your version of creation. You can make changes, whether it's just with your thought rather than your situations at time. So when we say each sacred geometric form of the sphere, the cube, and the triangle is a word of creation. Now what happens is, as they always say, if you want to, when you name something, you limit it. And that's why when I first came into the mystery school, one of the words that they used was Elohim. And I went, now wait a minute. 30-some years, I have absolutely no baggage with that word. Because it was something that was new to me, and when I found out, which we're going to learn in a second, it embodies the masculine God and the feminine God. So it's Father God and it's Mother God to be parent. I'm going, oh, I love that. So with the words, even God coalesces into an energetic form. Gotta love William Blake. Sorry, I was an art major in case you didn't find that out yet. So with this, the first of the shapes, the supernal triangle, is this beautiful aspect of, it's also like Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, where God is reaching out with his finger, and Adam just kind of, that passive. And here, using the sacred shape to divide the light and the darkness. Very, very active, muscular, actually doing it. So the first of the sacred shapes is the triangle or the pyramid, and it relates to the top of your head in the tree of life. We also have in many different traditions that the temples are based on the human body. So here in the Hindu tradition is we have the cosmic man. So their temples obviously are square. Now you all may know, because we come from mostly a Christian tradition, is the churches in our tradition is shaped, supposed to be Jesus on the cross. The heart would be where the altar would be. So the head, it's also, I'll let you in a secret. I think I was sick the day the nuns taught this. The churches are also based on the tree of life. And I would love to do that to the rosary ladies, but I was afraid they'd chase me with charcoal and lighter fluid. So it's also, when we talk about in the Christian tradition with the churches, at the bottom of the tree of life, Malkuth, is where in a traditional Catholic church where the baptismal font is. And it is a sacrament of spiritual initiation where most of us step onto, not into the church, if it's of our tradition, into the cosmic Christ. So this is where some of these things come about. In this you can see all the yummy, delicious shapes that we have. And in using these shapes, we already have this vibration within us. So these shapes get us into that alignment with the divine. and automatically take ourselves out. This is why even when the one Chandler class I teach, we go to the great hall of the hierarchy of light, and people come back and go, all right, you're freaking me out. I wasn't ever there. Why does it look like familiar? And I go, well, because in many ways you were, but it is this cosmic, it is this collective consciousness we have of these shapes bringing about this reminder of the divine, of God. I love going, I was raised Catholic, my father, and then he married, he's Lutheran, and then he married a gal who's Lutheran. So I stand outside their church and they have the Triskel in there, and I just go, wow, they don't even think they know that. Wow. And I always forget to ask them, what does it mean for you? So as we said, that reminder, everything is as within, this energy, so without. So we also talk about ancient languages, and I'm going to make you do some spiritual calisthenics in a minute. Ancient languages are more powerful because they have, first of all, closer to the divine language and have a higher vibration, but they've also been used for thousands of years. So in my tradition, I was luckily, in a way, pre-Vatican or post-Vatican II, so I got English, but I used Latin in some of my rituals because of the fact the vibration has been set up for 2,000 years. Not to be Catholic all over you. So when we say that language of spirit, the pure language of creation, these shapes help us tune in with that. Which means also we have access to that universal wisdom. There is a rabbinical tradition where they say if you do not have someone to teach you the Kabbalah, that simply by meditating on the Sefer, that you will have access to that wisdom. You will be taught it, the energy will flow. And I go, how cool is that? So this is what I said before about we have, in Hebrew, El is the masculine for God. Eloah is the feminine. When you put them both together, so rather than limiting it, it is a further, it's mother, father, God, it's parent. It gives us a name that doesn't bring, as I found, all of the baggage. So the Kabbalistic cross is at least 4,000 years old, at least. I'm going very low ball there. And the Trinity in Latin is 2,000 years of that being used. It's also, it resonates and correlates to the supernal triangle, to Keter, to Chakma and Bina. So when I have blessed someone who is of another faith or another tradition, that's what I use. And I'm not going to recommend Jesus. No, this is the triad of knowledge, of wisdom, of understanding. So the way they describe the tree of life and what the Sephirah is all of them, and Sephirah or Sephirah is singular. So we have these 10, and what they do is they've been defined as force fields. They've also been described as emanations. So that's why I said earlier that as God spoke the words of creation, the words coalesced and slowed down and became matter and became us. But first, what we're going to do is the Kabbalistic cross. The way you see it is, let me see, it's actually like this. So it's the whole stage right and stage left thing. What we're going to learn today is I'm going to teach you the Kabbalistic cross. Anybody know that? Okay. Good. What it does is it will help you clear, and when we do the meditation later with the sacred geometric shapes, it will help you vibrate to that later on. Now when we do a Kabbalistic cross, and then keeping in mind, if you happen to go to a Catholic church, when you do the sign of the cross, we're going to do it backwards. We're going to go top, bottom, right to left, instead of left to right, is that as you do it and you're aware of it, we're just not going to stop when we call on divine knowledge. And we're going to say it in Hebrew, so it totally gets your head out of the hole if you have any negative connotations. We go past our heart. I said, I don't go Michael Jackson low, but I go like to my belly button. And what that does is it brings in the, see, you didn't know I was going to say that. It brings in and it lights up all of the sephira that are in line all the way down your feet. So you have this beautiful vertical beam of light. Then when we do and call on divine action with the Holy Spirit Shekinah, and instead we go right to left, is then we light up this horizontal beam of light. And it can be used for empowerment and protection. Yes.
The Gnostics do cross themselves. I'm a Gnostic, and we go right to left rather than left.
Correct. And the Orthodox then go back again.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting because what you're doing is you're dragging severity, kicking and screaming into mercy, which I think is kind of interesting. Yes?
Was there a time when both Rome and Constantinople, like Western Church, Eastern Church, had the same?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But it's always amazing to me the behind it. And if you're aware of it, bless you. And when I had gone, after I had learned some of this, I had gone back to where the church where I was raised, and I was literally, I hate to admit, I was kind of like playing in the holy water fountain, because it was like, and they went, Summer, what are you doing? Light up your tree. And I wasn't struck by lightning. I mean, I might be shorter, but it wasn't because I was struck by lightning. So when we do the Kabbalistic cross, it said it's going to be in Hebrew. And I prefer to do it with not just one little finger, but I kind of do, I could have had a V8. And 10. Malkuth. Vegevra. Vegejula. Leolam. Yes, Jess?
Do you use the palm because of palm chakras?
I have no idea. That's what I like. Whether I watch way too much, I could have had a V8. It just feels like I'm having to focus. So that's just, you can use a couple fingers. And it is, I was also the left-handed kid that was in the back, because I was tall actually when I was younger. And the nun is going, who's using their left hand back there? Yeah, who's using their left hand? But what it is this is the sending. This is why priests bless with the right hand, is because we're sending that energy out. This is the receptive. Although it is funky in the Kabbalah, but I go with the shamanic. So what we're going to be doing is, let me go back here. When we do the empowerment one, you go through the whole thing. And then in order to do protection, is if you've seen one of those Bagua mirrors, you can get them at Michael's for like $1. It is 8-sided. So when we go outward, we're going to do the exact same thing, a tap. But we're going to push. And we're only going to push as though there is this thing right around us. And that's your, my neighbor's kids are in camp, and the leader was doing a campfire, or doing something with fire, and he said, safety zone. So this is your safety zone. You're not going to go all the way out your whole hand. You're going to go to what? All right, everybody, we're right there. That's far enough. And you do the whole thing again, and then at the very end, we tone that amen. So this is going to be your protection. Inward is empowerment. The same thing with outward is protection. This is something rather than saying I have a beautiful Michael prayer on my website, SummerHawkWolf.com, homepage, Archangel Michael Clearing Prayer. It's something to memorize. Maybe it's a whole sheet. It takes you a while. This, you can do it. Okay, now let's go back to this. So I'm going to have you all stand. This is the spiritual calisthenics part of our program, please. Okay. Now when we go to memorize this, Vegevra, which means B comes before G. That took me years to remember that. Okay, so I'm going to stand not like the aerobics instructor. I'm going to stand this way, most like it's not significant. Okay, with your right hand, please. Forehead, Tet. Belly button, Malkuth. That brings in the beam of light. Right shoulder, Vegevra. Vegedura. Left shoulder. Vegedula. Beautiful. And then in front of your heart, both palms, Leolam. Beautiful. Now the protection. Same thing, but now out. Attack and push out with your breath. Belly button, Malkuth. Right shoulder, Vegebura. Good. Left shoulder, Vegedula. Now this time what we do is we do Leolam. Now we're going to push out from our hips. Amen. Amen. Excellent. Very good. So you can all have a seat. Thank you very much. So I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like I have lots of other superiors and principals in my family as well as other clergy. You're going to have to write that down.
Are they still talking to you?
Yeah. Oh, no, you can't. I don't have any rulers for my 6 days up there. But I don't have a handout for this, so if you want this, you're going to need to write this down. So it's inward is empowerment, and the same thing, tap, is protection. Something you can do. I have several nurses that have studied with me, so before they go to work, that's what they do out in their car. Or in the hallway, or in the stairwell, so no one can see them. Yes, would you please? Tap, Malkuth, Vegebura, Vegedula, Leolam. Amen. Let me go back to the non-phonetic, if that's okay with you. So you can also diagram it like that, and at the very end, that's when you tone the Amen. Come out from your hips, your procreation center. Amen. Just as an aside, where your brains are busy, you can also do Kabbalah in many different ways. That really means it's the Hebrew study, but I prefer it. But it can be with C's, it can be with K's, it can be with single B's, it can be with H's on the ends, it can be all different ways. So are we ready? Everybody good?
You gonna go to the next one?
So this, as I said earlier, we're all sensitive. That's why we're here. So this will help you with clearing you of knowing that when you go into a place, or if you have to talk to somebody on the phone, there's a situation, you can do the Calvinistic cross. And it'll make a little bit more sense. Yes.
Could you just describe again when you would use the, I guess, the inward versus the outward, or do you always do both at the same time?
Thank you. Excellent. I do both. I think of it as the package set. I do in, and if you're familiar, if you've heard of the lesser banishing ritual, which I teach in the initiations, that's something that we do that in the East, and it's a package set. So, because, again, I love the smells and bells because I was raised Catholic, so it says do it, I do it. Okay, we all good? So even within the tree of life, we have the visual of, as the energies from creation spread across the universe, we separate into light and dark, we separate it into matter, we separated everything on the planet, it forms matter. God, or Elohim itself, also coalesces and slows down. The whole tree of life are different emanations of God, till finally here at Malkuth, that's us. It says kingdom, that's literally what it means. And it is, the kingdom of heaven is embodying my flesh. If you're familiar with the pattern on the trestle board, it has some wonderful I use them as affirmations. So here, when we talk about God, we have Ein, or you also can see it spelled En. Nothingness. Then we have Ein Sof. So again, it's coalescing down before it even gets to the tree of life. And then we have Ein Sof R, which the one way of describing it is zero, which doesn't mean nothing. It means zero, the number before numbers commence. So when Kether is 1, this is the highest emanation, and this is the supernal triangle that we've been talking about. So it just helps us also understand here is this energy that's flowing out as above, all the way down to number 10 with us. Oh, sorry. Maybe try to go back. I heard, oh,
I was going,
okay.
I drank too much soda.
Okay, that's good. That's not this. So we have the shapes as corresponding in 3D, which is what I've been saying, the pyramid, the cube, and the sphere. We also in 2D, all it is the triangle and the square and the circle. So when I teach this class, these are the colors that we use as well. And we always start with the pyramid being the supernal triangle. So we have those two shapes, those other two shapes, I should say, fitting inside of the sphere or the circle.
Summer?
Yes.
Here's my only problem, and maybe you go into this in your longer course. I'm an astrologer. I know those angles are the resonance and the frequencies and, okay. I'm blowing your thing?
No.
Okay. That, to me, is where the rubber meets the road, but they see it differently. Okay,
Okay.
never mind.
So when we have that fitting inside each other, as I said, we're going to begin on our meditation today with the circle. These are also in the class, the 3 gates of heaven, because they are ways of getting you out of your body into the astral dimensions and enabling you to be safe and protected when you do that journey, which is what we do in the astral travel class. We do journeys into the 7 spiritual dimensions so you can access, again, getting the fish for yourself so that you can learn how to do this. So when we talk about the triangle being the supernal triangle, it is representational of the God or the trigod, the Trinity. It is also the symbol for spirit and fire, and it is the first symbol of creation. And that's why I picked that beautiful William Blake with the triangle. Now, within the Catholic Mass, at the beginning, let your spirit come upon these gifts and make them holy, is making that triangle of blessing. And in the Eastern tradition, I believe this is when they believe the consecration takes place. In the Roman Catholic, then it happens to be later. So here's the triangle. You can also use, this does not resonate for me, but I've seen friends of mine do this, is you can make a triangle and you can put it and hold your hands over your food and you can see that health and that nutrition. You can also bless all the creatures that you're eating, because I am a Letosaurus. You can also bless all the people involved with that. Now, when we do the I call upon ritual, it is the full triangle. It's over our, well, for women, it's over our womb. I SummerHawk Wolf. Call upon the powers of heaven and the powers of the universe to come down for this journey. So as that reminder, as below, as above. So there's lots of yummy things to do with that shape to remind us, to bring us into that deeper level of meditation, of awareness. Yes?
I'm sorry, just to go back to the first slide about the triangle, there were like 3 things that you had that represented. I just wanted to see what the, okay, the first
Thank you.
information, I didn't get that.
Don't let me get too excited, press my button. And on the tree, as I said, is called the supernal triangle. And that's another reason why it's red, because it's for fire. It is also, with these sacred shapes, showing the energies pouring down through us and how the mindset of God, or Elohim, or Creator, was in making us. Because within the tree, it is the realm of God, Elohim, Creator. It is the realm of the archangels. It is the realm of the angels, and it's the world of making, which is us. Okay?
Thank you.
Welcome. So they correspond to, this is what it looks like, and this is why I said you have to be this way, not looking at it and thinking Netzach is your right hip. It is actually your left hip. So we have these triangles within the tree of these different areas, and I go more into this, into the initiations, where most people, Earth is at Malkuth, and this is where most people are. And that's why, again, if you believe in baptism, it is a sacrament of spiritual initiation. Then when we become initiated, or we work on consciously ascending the tree of life, we then flow the energy upward. And as you can see, the only upwardly pointing triangle on the tree is the supernal triangle at the head. So this is the whole how creation formed. It was the idea, it was the thought. So here's our supernal triangle. All the other sephira, from our shoulders down to Yesod, which is our root chakra, are within the world of form or formation. And then Asiya at our feet is Malkuth. And that corresponds to the circle. So when we do our meditation later, that's what we're going to work on. All of these protecting you, allowing you to move in this planet, but also then allowing these energies